like they're like, son, like, oh, my brand, like, I don't know how to like make my brand feel unique. I feel like I'm saying the same shit that everyone else is saying. Like, I feel like um I feel like what you know, my I feel like what I do is not that different from everyone. I feel like what I do is not different than any other coaches. I feel like what I do is not different than any other therapist. I feel like my agency is not that different from anyone, right? The reason why that is because just think about it, right? Let's say you want to make an online course. Let's say you want to grow Instagram. What's the first thing you do? You go on YouTube, you go on Google, and you search, oh, how do I grow my Instagram? How do I build an online course, right? And then you follow the same exact old fucking blueprint that everybody else, and you just fucking copy the step by step, and you do the same exact thing that everyone else does. No wonder everybody's fucking brand sounds the same. No wonder everybody's business look the same. And no wonder every coach sounds exactly the same because they're just going on Google, searching and just following a blueprint. Here's the problem with that. Okay. Here's the problem with following some sort of YouTube video blueprint or something like that. It's what ends up happening is what like think about it like this, right? Do you ever go to like DMV or you go to some government office or you go somewhere where there's like an instruction? They say, "Oh, take a number and go follow this," or you call customer service and you're like, like they're like, "Oh no, you have to take a number and you have to submit this ticket and you have to do this," and I'm just like, "You're right on the phone with me right now. Can't you just fucking help me? Like, you're right here. Can you just give me the answer or something like that?" Oh, by the way, if you have questions, just put it in the sticker because it's hard for me to follow all the chat. So that's what people do, right? So, and those are like the rules or the step-by-step instructions or whatever it is that people created, right? The problem with these step-by-step instructions, problem with the textbook way of doing things is that the textbook is designed for the mass, right? Those rules are designed for the mass. So to create some sort of a process that'll work for the mass, for millions of people. And that's why you get so frustrated when you go to like the help desk and you're like, why don't you just help me here? And the guy at the help desk is like, no, you gotta fill out this form and we gotta follow procedure, right? Like the problem is you as an individual, the way you do things should be different than how the textbook way of doing things. Okay. So if every person in the world is following the textbook way of doing things, then everybody in the world is going to sound exactly the same. I want you to do it different than the textbook. I want you to do it different than like the rules. And that's where the innovation happens. That's when you're going to sound different. Your service is going to sound different. So yesterday I was on a call with one of the members who's a therapist. And I was asking her like, "Oh, how do you do things differently than other therapists?" And she started telling me, "Oh, I do everything differently. Like, for example, most therapists, they dress up. They wear a suit and they're very professional, but she dresses very casually. Okay, the way she does the the booking is different. Like, for example, like most therapists are not supposed to have their client bring their dog to the therapy session, but she lets them bring the dog to the therapy session. So in every tiny little ways, she does it differently because what she realizes that certain things, maybe you have to follow the textbook, but certain things you can go against the textbook, right? And what happens is when you just try to follow the text, here's what happens, okay? There's a TV show, there's a show on Netflix called Stutz, okay? And with Jonah Hill and this therapist, his name is Dr. Stutz. And this guy Stutz, he does therapy completely different than other therapists. Like, for example, in therapy, you're not supposed to give advice to the client. You're not supposed to give them the answer. You're supposed to let the client find the answer on their own, right? But this guy Stutz, he actually gives them the answer. He gives the advice, right? So he's like breaking all the rules of therapy. So what happens is all the professional therapists like hate him. Like a lot of therapists like criticize him and hate him, saying that he's not doing it the right way, he's doing it differently. But the thing is, his clients fucking love him. And he has the biggest clients in the world. All the celebrities are his clients. And it's kind of like similar. The similar thing happened with me, right? When I started my agency and we started like doing these branding projects and things like that, we did our entire brand strategy completely different than any other companies, right? Every other brand strategy, brand agencies, what they do is they say, okay, here's an avatar of your customer. This is Susan. Susan is a 26-year-old accountant that lives in New York City, and she makes $100,000 a year. And this is your avatar, and this is the person we're targeting. And here's the colors that we're going to use. And here's your logo. This circle in the logo represents this, and the blue color represents this. And they come up with this whole fucking brand strategy and brand guideline book, and they try to like sell that to the client. And that's how every agency have done it forever. Okay, that's the textbook way to do it. Now, when I worked in an agency for a long time, what I fucking realized is that avatar is bullshit. The avatar doesn't help at all, because you can't be like, oh, there's this 26-year-old, this demographic, this person that's gonna buy. Like, you can't speak like that, because 18-year-old kids buy Apple and 60-year-old grandmas buy Apple. Those two are like, as well as 40-year-old lawyers buy Apple, 30-year-old designers buy Apple. There's so many fucking avatars in every brand that it's the demographic is not what makes people buy your product. It's their psychographics, what they're struggling with, what their pain points are. That's what makes people buy your product. So I just threw the whole avatar shit out of the way. The color theory, I realized it's also bullshit, because red's supposed to mean passion and blue is supposed to mean stable, right? But I saw a bunch of fucking, very risky, innovative company that's using blue, and I saw some very like stable companies that use red. So like Coca-Cola, for example, right? Or Target. So I realized that fucking all that color theory is also bullshit too, right? And people do the brand agencies do this thing where it's like, okay, let's do a word adjective, bold, refreshing, or trustworthy, and let's come up with the words that define your. Who the fuck cares? Like, really? Like, do you think people are going to eat at McDonald's because their tagline is "I'm loving it"? Or do you think people are going to eat at Burger King because their tagline is, like, have it your way? No, that's not the reason why they're going to fucking eat at those places. Okay. So I threw that shit out the window. So what I realized is the textbook way of doing things is all fucking bullshit. It's all wrong. It's some bullshit that fucking the establishment created so that they can stay in business. And in therapy, the same thing works. Same thing happens in therapy. For hundreds of years, or fucking however long years therapy has been around, this therapist wrote these textbooks and fucking put it this way so that they can fucking put themselves as an expert and sell their expertise. It's not because it actually works. What really works is you have to try it yourself. And if it doesn't work, so what a lot of people do is when they do things differently. So when I first started my agency and I started doing it differently, everyone was making fun of me. Everyone was like, oh, the branding agency that do all the fucking avatars, the color theory, the adjectives, all that bullshit. They look at me and they're like, oh, Son doesn't know what he's talking about. They laugh at me. They're like, like Son's not doing it the right. I'm not doing it the right way, right? Because the right way is the textbook way. It's the way that the rules are written. I have to follow the rules, right? That's exactly the way to not innovate. The whole fucking point of innovating, the whole point of breaking the status quo, and the whole point of doing things differently is breaking the rules, not doing it the right way. The right way is the way that everyone does it. Okay? So this is why it's so important that you understand. Like, I see so many people doing this. So many people, like, their weakness or their strength is doing something not the right way, right? And then they get ashamed about it. They get ashamed of that. Oh, I'm not doing it the right way. Oh, I'm supposed to be doing the avatar. I'm supposed to be doing all of this. Oh yeah, in therapy, I'm supposed to be asking these questions, but I'm not doing it the right way. Like, and they get embarrassed and they're shy away and they're like, they don't want to tell people that they do it that way. But the way you do it, the different way that you do it, the not right way, is actually the better way. You should be proud of that. That's your strength, not your weakness. So that's exactly what I want to cover today. Is I want you to tell me what's your weakness, what you're doing that's that you think society told you is your weakness, and let's turn that into strength. So that's the thing that you can double down on, and that's the thing that that's gonna make you stand out from the rest of the fucking bullshit, the right way people that do the exact same way everything. Okay, I got heated a little bit early there. So I'm gonna breathe. And I'm gonna try to calm down. Can everyone hear me? Can you guys all hear me? Hi creators and hi Phoebe. Hi XYZ Drafts. Hi Chichi Chizivo. Hi Rena. Okay. I'm gonna start with the questions. Yeah, I'm coming out with the bang. Okay, Marwan asked, I lack self-affirmation. I don't like to correct people even if I'm right, and I always hated that. That led me to learn to be diplomatic, to communicate what I want without making other people embarrassed. Yeah. So okay, let's talk about this. Okay? There might be a couple different things happening here. So you're right. Some people are very, what do you say? They're very considerate of others, right? They look at people, they see, oh no, I feel like this person is feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Oh, I feel like this person they didn't really vibe with what I said. Oh, I think I offended this person, right? So some people are like that, and that's kind of part of their personality, right? And if that's your personality, hi Naina, if that's your personality, what's gonna happen is the strength part, like Marwan said, is that because you're considerate. If you're coaching, if you're consulting, when you work with clients, you're gonna be really aware of those things. So that's how it can become being a considerate means you're more empathetic. You're gonna be a great coach. You're gonna be a great therapist. You're gonna be a great consultant working with clients. But here's the thing. I would argue if you resonate with that message, it's like, oh, I'm so considerate of others. I'm such a people pleaser. I don't want to confront them and things like that. Think about that. Think about if that's really your weakness, or it could also be that that's suppressing your weakness. For example, let's say somebody comes to you with a design and that design sucks. Like, for a fact that it sucks, right? And you can see how it sucks and you can explain that, but you don't want to say it because you don't want to offend that person, right? That means what you're doing is you're actually suppressing your weakness. You know what I mean? Your weakness is that you notice flaws. You notice these flaws. You know that sucks. You know that this design could be much better if they do it like this, but you don't want to say that to that person because you don't want to offend that person, right? So by not saying it, you're suppressing your flaws. You're suppressing your actual strength, which is being able to notice those details. Do you understand what I mean? So be very careful when you do this assignment where you're coming up with weakness and strength, because if you ever feel like your weakness is not speaking the truth, that means that's not a weakness. Because here's the thing about truth. You ever go in a meeting and you're like, you want to say this and you feel compelled to say this thing, but you're scared, so you don't say it. And then after the meeting, and the whole meeting, you're thinking like, I should say this. I'm going to say this. Oh, I'm going to say this. And then you just kept like, oh, no, but I don't want, well, how should I say it? And you overthink it in your head. And then finally, you don't get to say it. And at the end of the meeting, you're like, oh, fuck, I should have said it. I regret not saying it. Or like you're at a bar and you're like, oh, I want to talk to that girl. Oh, I want to talk to her, but what should I say? Oh, but I don't want to say this then because it's embarrassing. And then at the end, like she leaves, and you're like, ah, I should have went to talk to her, right? Whenever you want to say something, speak your truth, but you're suppressing yourself from speaking the truth, and afterwards you regret not saying it. That doesn't mean that's your weakness, because that's the thing about truth. How you know it's truth and how you know that you're supposed to say it is if you don't, you regret it. If it's not the truth, if it's something that it's just something mean that you don't want to say it because you don't want to piss off that person, then it doesn't matter. Then even if you don't say it, you're not going to feel bad about it. You're not going to feel regret it. You're not going to regret not saying it. But the reason why you regret not saying something is because you know deep down in your heart that it's the truth, and truth must come out. Like there's nothing worse than suppressing the truth inside here. Like whenever you don't let the truth out, you're gonna regret it. Okay, so be careful about that. And our whole exercise is not for you to say, oh, I'm suppressing my truth and that's my weakness. No, it's not. You suppressing your truth because you're scared, that's not your weakness. The fact that you shouldn't be suppressing your truth. The whole point of this is to let your weakness out. Be proud of your weakness. Be proud of your weakness, because that weakness is also your strength. Do you know what I mean? Okay, this is a good one. So a lot of people think their weakness is overthinking, and overthinking is not a weakness. It's kind of like when I said about, people say perfectionism is a weakness, right? Oh, I'm a perfectionism. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. That's what they say, right? So what happens? Because all these fucking gurus and experts out there on YouTube and Instagram world, oh, perfectionism is the enemy of progress. Just do it. Just do it imperfectly. Blah blah blah. I say that too, right? Do messy. So what do people do? He's like, oh no, I gotta be messy. I'm a perfectionist, so I can't be a perfectionist anymore. I need to fix myself. I need to change myself so that That's not what people mean. It means don't try to fix yourself. Don't try to force yourself not to be a perfectionist, because the fact that you're a perfectionist is your strength. Steve Jobs was a perfectionist, okay? And so sometimes if that is your strength, then you shouldn't try to fix it. You should try to put a process around. So Steve Jobs, because he's a perfectionist and he would just go over the top to make everything perfect, he needed people around him to stop him from doing that. For example, Tim Cook, right? Steve Jobs' job is to fucking be a perfectionist and just fucking try to make everything perfect. Like that's his personality. Tim Cook's job is to make sure that they're profitable so that he can keep Steve Jobs under control when he's going out of hand, right? So you need both the good cop and the bad cop. But if Steve Jobs try to play both roles, that's not going to work, because then he's going to actually start letting go of quality and letting go of those perfectionism, and the products just wouldn't be the same, right? And the same thing goes for overthinking. I am an overthinker. So what ends up happening is when I work on a project with, here's the thing. I'm an overthinker. Therefore, it also makes me a devil's advocate. So meaning when somebody comes to me with an idea, like my employees fucking hate me, because every time they come to me with an idea, I'm like, oh no, that's not gonna work because this is what's gonna happen. Oh, that's not gonna work because if we do that, this is what's gonna happen. Oh, that doesn't work. So no matter what anyone brings to me, what I'm thinking in my head is like, okay, so what happens then, and then next what happens? I'm trying to jump steps ahead. And I'm trying to overthink all the possible problems that can go wrong with that. So that's a fucking disease that I have now. But if I think of that as I'm an overthinker, that's my weakness, starting now, I'm gonna turn that off and I'm gonna stop overthinking. That means what I'm doing is I'm taking one of my greatest strengths and I'm just fucking killing it, right? Because a lot of clients come to me and they pay me a lot of money because they want me to double check over everything, all the plans. So they might go and make this plan and blah blah blah, work with other agency, and they come to me and they want me to look at it and they want me to check it out because they know I'm gonna see the flaws that nobody else saw because I'm a fucking overthinker. I overanalyze everything. So they're gonna see the thing that nobody else saw, right? People come to me and ask me to help them with storytelling because, and then I sit there and I spend 3 fucking hours hearing their entire life story and I ask a million questions. I keep digging, overthinking, overanalyzing everything. And at the end of the day, I come up with the perfect brand story that just fits perfectly for them, right? And the reason why I'm able to do that is because I'm an overthinker. I'm over analyzing their life. Oh, what does this mean? Okay, how does it connect to this? And how does it connect to this thing? And how does that connect it to how they do this service? And I'm over analyzing everything. And that's what makes me great at reverse engineering shit and reverse engineering stories and things like that, right? Even like our storytelling course, the reason why I'm able to break down exactly what's going on and how you make a better story and blah, 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 is because I'm an overthinker. So you can't try to don't try to fix your overthinking. What you have to do is, for me, because I'm an overthinker, one of the things that my clients do is they give me a deadline, right? But they give me a deadline that's like 2 weeks ahead of their real deadline. So they don't tell me their real deadline. They're like, if the deadline is, like July 15th, they'll tell me, oh, we need this by July 1st. Because they know I'm gonna miss the deadline because I overthink the shit out of everything. So you have to put so my clients actually put me in check like that, right? But maybe you need a team, you need a project manager who's gonna do that for you, right? Or you need to set up a process where you have 2 deadlines, right? A backup deadline or something like that. Or yeah, because that's the thing about overthinking, right? Once you start overthinking, there's no end to it. I can overthink the shit out of something. If you give me a problem, I can think about that problem until the day I die. It'll never stop. So there has to be some sort of a stopping point or something like that. So don't fix your personality. What you do is you create an environment where that personality is not going to hurt you. But don't try to change yourself or something like that, because that personality is what makes you. Okay, great question, Denora. Great weakness, Denora. Jonathan, what do you think will be the strength from impatience? Oh, that's another good one, right? So what do people say? Like fucking, like all this social media and business experts out there, what do they do? The textbook way? Be patient. This takes time. It takes time to build social media. It takes time to grow a business. It takes time to get a six-pack in your gym. So what do? They say patience, have patience. But I'm so impatient. I want it now. And like and you think that that's your weakness. But here's the thing. Actually, I would argue that for me, the best entrepreneurs have been the ones that are impatient. So I was so fucking impatient. So Jonathan, I want you to really go deep inside your soul, search deep within your soul, and ask yourself, am I really impatient? Because I would argue that maybe you're not. Because I am fucking impatient. You know what I mean? I'm so fucking impatient that I couldn't wait to set up Night Owl Nation. I was just like, I just fucking created a Zoom link and I just put it on my Instagram and said, hey guys, come join this Sunday. Just come join this class with me on Zoom. That's how I started Night Owl Nation. I didn't want to fucking wait to set up a website. I didn't want to wait to set up everything. I just fucking jumped in and started. I was so impatient that when me and my developers, like, we got an idea to build an app, we're like, fuck it, let's just build it tonight. And we started fucking coding that shit right away. I didn't make no fucking business plan. I didn't make no fucking wireframe. And I didn't fucking do any of that. I'm so fucking impatient that I'm just going to fucking jump in and just do it right away. That's what impatience look like. So if you're really impatient, it's good because it means you jump in. You know how they say, like, jump out of the plane and then try to figure out how to build a parachute. Yeah. So Jonathan, that's what you might be doing, because what you might be doing is you're holding back your impatience, right? And that's exactly what I was saying in the beginning. What a lot of people do is, if they're an impatient person and they just want to jump in and do something, or let's say they're a perfectionist, so what they do is they just like force themselves to not be a perfectionist. Or if they're a rule breaker and they force them to follow the rules, or if they want to say something, they're rebellious and they want to say something, but they keep their mouth shut because, oh, I don't want to get in trouble. All of those things, what you're doing is you're suppressing your weakness, because actually I would say you're suppressing your superpower. You're hiding your superpower because society is saying that's your weakness. So do not fucking do that. Who the fuck cares what the, like, people are so worried about experts. Okay? But like I said, experts don't know shit. And the reason why experts don't know shit is because they don't know you. Everything that experts do, all the advice that experts give you, it's based on the mass. It's a mainstream advice. It means it works on a mainstream level. It's a rule that they set up that's going to work for most people, right? And in an average way. But you don't want to be most people. You want to be excellent. You want to find the exceptional way to do things, right? You can't be exceptional by following rules. And that's what experts are. Experts equal rules. So by following what the experts say, by following the rule, all you're going to be is average. Is that what you want? If you want to be, and that's why actually every brand sounds the same. Every brand sounds exactly the same. Every brand story sounds exactly the same. Every coach sounds like a fucking replica of each other. Every freelancer sounds like a replica of each other. Like, that's what every agency is like. Well, here's the packages. Here's the pricing. Everybody sounds exactly the same because everybody's just benchmarking of each other. Oh, I saw that everyone's doing that, so I'm gonna do that. Oh, that everyone's doing this, so I'm gonna do that. Why follow the trends? Why follow the trends if you know you can do it better? Just because the expert says so? Just because you don't want to stand out? Well, if you don't want to stand out, then you're not gonna stand out. And you're like, if you don't want to be the one to stand out, then your brand cannot stand out from the rest of the brands. It's just gonna disappear into the rest of the brands. Somebody on YouTube asked, Chester asked, who's watching from YouTube? I don't think anybody's watching from YouTube, but I just put it on YouTube anyway because, YouTube is an evergreen. I just wanted this is unrelated, but YouTube is the only evergreen content platform, right? So you post something on Instagram, you post something on TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever, wherever, Facebook, whatever you post, 2 weeks later, it disappears. Nobody will ever look at it. But when you post something on YouTube, it lasts forever. 10 years from now, somebody might look at it, right? So that's why don't ignore YouTube, guys. Okay, next question. Labuleta Licia. Sorry, I'm so bad in names, so please excuse my pronunciation. My weakness is I talk too much. I am not keeping it simple when I explain something. Okay. Here's the thing. I think you noticed that I do the same thing, right? So Alicia, okay. Hi, Alicia. So you know that I do the same thing. Like, if you watch my lives, if you watch my podcast, I do the exact same thing, right? But that's not a weakness. That's actually one of my strengths. Because what happens is, when you write, when you try to sit there and you try to do everything yourself, you try to think, oh, I'm gonna be like a Socrates. I'm gonna just sit in this rock and I'm just gonna be the, that statue, the thinker or whatever it is. I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna just think this problem away. I'm just gonna fucking, force myself to think this thing out, right? That shit doesn't work. Like, for me, my best thinking, my best ideas, my best aha moments, and my best connections happens while I'm talking. It doesn't even matter what if I don't like when I come on here, when I come to this IG live, when I come on podcast and talk for like an hour, 2 hours, I don't have everything organized. I don't have everything like perfectly planned out. What I'm doing is I kind of know I have a vague, very rough idea of what my ideas are, but not really. It doesn't connect the dots yet. I don't know. I have a kind of a overall um, topic that I want to talk about, and I come on here, and then you ask me the question, and we're bouncing ideas off, right? You're asking me a question, and I'm like, okay, I try to, and then I go somewhere, and in that kind of me just messing and just explaining something like this, what happens? Is in those moments I get ideas. I'm like, oh, that's what happened, and then that starts connecting. And I get these aha moments, right? And then afterwards, now I know I learned something new, right? And then I write it down or something, make a note of it or something like that, right? So in through the action of talking, conversations and things like that, that's actually where I get majority of my idea. You guys talk about how you love my carousels, right? Like you think those fucking carousels just came out because I was just sitting there and just forcing something to come out? No. All of the ideas that I have in my carousels is a result of me doing this messy and just fucking over talking and just like not making sense, and something clicked and it's like, oh, when I said it like this, oh, that makes sense, blah blah blah. And then years after years of that, like it became those carousels ultimately. Do you know what I mean? So what you need to do, if your weakness is that you talk too much, then you need to start a podcast. You need to go on IG Live. You need to go on interviews, and you need to constantly be talking. Talk, 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 talk. Keep talking. Because while you're talking, your dots are gonna connect, and you're gonna do that. And now you can go back, and now you have it recorded, so you can watch it, and you make note of it, and then new idea builds on top of that, on top of that, on top of that, and this gets more clear. This gets more clear, and later on, when you actually make a short version of something, when you're speaking on stage, when you're teaching something, trying to create a course or anything like that, you've already solidified those ideas and you've already clarified those ideas and you put that in there. But on top of that, and while you're doing that, you keep building new ideas. Keep talking, talk, 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 keep talking, 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 and then build new ideas. So it is not a weakness, right? So don't be shy, right? Don't be embarrassed that like, oh, I talk too much. I'm gonna be quiet because I talk too much. Because then what you're doing is you're taking your superpower and you're like locking it up and you're like not letting your superpower out. Do you know what I mean? So I need you to keep talking and let your superpower out. Okay, next. Bossy. Weakness, bossy, impulsive. I'm not sure if I don't know if you're bossy, um, Rosalinda, because I know you, and I don't think you're bossy. But let's talk about impulsive. Okay. Okay, we'll talk about bossy too, but we'll also talk about impulsive. You're welcome, Alicia. So I also have like a very impulsive side, right? But like I said, it goes with the impatience, right? Like most of the things that I've done in my life, it happened by me being impulsive. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how I started freelancing? I had a 9 to 5 job where I hated my boss, and I got into a fight with my boss one day, and I just like fuck you, boss, and I left, and then I started freelancing, right? So like I think like that's kind of how I started dating my wife Gigi too. It was just impulsive. Like I just started. I was like, okay, fuck it, and then I just like asked her out, and we just started dating, and that's how we like almost every great thing in my life happened because of some sort of an impulsive action, right? And I feel like in most enough people don't do that. Like a lot of people don't are not being impulsive because so that's the thing about me. What I need to do is, and I started Night Owl because I was impulsive. Like sometimes you just have to jump in and be impatient and jump in and do shit, right? So how you have to manage that is Chester Chester on YouTube said that, Rosalinda, you're not bossy, and I agree with Chester. You're not bossy, but impulsive. I think so. How I manage that is this. When I earlier in my career, I was so impulsive. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go into IT. I wanna work with computers, and oh, I'm gonna make websites. I'm gonna do design. Oh, I'm gonna make films. I want to go to film school, and like I just impulsively one day just signed up and went to film like night film school. Just impulsively, I just kept jumping from career to career to career impulsively. I'm like, oh, now I'm passionate about this. Oh, I'm bored of that. Now I want to do this. Oh, I'm bored of that. Now I want to do this. You have no idea how many different careers I had, like from programming, IT, building computers, storytelling, copywriting, filmmaking, photography, design, just in so many. Like I wanted to, like really get into sales, right? So in so many different ways, I've tried so many fucking things in my life because I was impulsive and I just jump in and I just go all in on things, right? But what happens is that was hurting me because I was jumping from career to career and I had to keep starting over. Like I'll get momentum and I start over. But when I started my agency, what ended up happening is I was able to not fix my impulsiveness. I'm still fucking impulsive as fuck right now. Even as you speak, I'm fucking impulsive as fuck. I think you guys can all see that, right? But instead of fixing it, what I do is I created an environment where I can be impulsive within parameters. So, for example, I already have an agency, I have clients, I have to make their website, right? And we already have a contract to make their website. So I can't get away from that. I still have to do that, okay? But all of a sudden, one day, I really want to get into video. I really want to get into video making, film making, video editing. So what do? I started providing a fucking service to my clients. They say, hey, do you need a video on your website? Because we'll shoot the video and edit it and create a sales video for you and all of that. So we did that for free the first couple of times. We're like, okay, like we don't have any example, so I'll just do that for free for you. And I just got really into it. And after we did a couple, now we started charging $10,000 for doing videos. And then we were like, oh, let's do some photography. And then we started doing headshots. And then we started charging like $15,000 for headshots, right? And then I really got into storytelling and copywriting. So we started fucking providing copywriting as a service. And then I really got into storytelling. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do brand strategy and let's do that. So whatever I was passionate about, instead of just switching industry from here to here, I just added that on as like a hobby within my agency. And actually, one of the reasons why our websites are so fucking dope is because my impulsivity has made, has made me good at all of those other things, that it all helps us in building the website. Do you know what I mean? So that's why, like, being impulsive, I think, is good. Don't fix it. Like, the fact that you're impulsive means, because, no matter how hard somebody try to do something, they're never gonna catch up to you if you're impulsive and you're just so obsessed over something and you just jump in and do it. Nobody can catch up to you with your obsession. So whenever you feel obsessed and you feel impulsive about something, that's the time to do it. Don't wait like a year, because a year later you're not going to be as obsessed over it. All your passion has kind of died now. So you gotta strike while the iron's hot, right? If you are a bossy person, this is the thing about bossy person, right? I'm actually not bossy at all. That's actually one of my problems. I can't fire people. I can't boss people around. I feel like I don't want to boss somebody around. So what I do is like, oh, I'll just do it myself. Like, you have no idea how many times I hire people and I ended up doing the shit myself because I felt bad to ask them to do something, right? Even though I fucking hired them to do it. So I actually look at bossy people and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could be bossy. I wish I could like my wife Gigi, she's actually very bossy. So she's really good at that. So whenever I'm like, I hate confrontation, I'm like, I can't fire this person, blah, blah, blah. Gigi's like, I'll do it. I'll fire him. Or whenever I'm like, I don't want to ask this client that they're being too they're being too hard, blah, blah, like we can't. I don't want to tell this client that we can't do that because they didn't pay us. And Gigi's like, I'll do it. I have no problem. So like sometimes I wish I had that personality, but the thing is I don't. So that's the thing. Sometimes we look at a personality, we look at somebody and we're inspired, right? So when I look at Gary Vee, like somebody like Gary Vee, where he's like very like out, very extrovert, and he's like very like in tune with like working with people, and he's like a really people person. I'm like so jealous of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I can be like that. I wish when I look at Chris Do, I'm like so envious. I'm like, Chris Do is so calm, so logical, and he's like very stoic. I wish I could be like that. But the fact is, I am not. That's them. That's what makes them special. It's not what makes me special. So whenever I'm inspired by somebody, I'm like, oh, I wish I could be more like him. Oh, I wish I could be more like her. Whenever I do that, I have to like take a breath and say, shut the fuck up, son. You're not like them. And the more you try to be like them, the less you're going to be like yourself. And that's how you're going to become average, boring, lukewarm. So whenever I'm too inspired by somebody that's not like me, I have to constantly remind myself and say, hey, that's not like me. When I first started trying to start a YouTube channel, I've done that so many times. I'm like, I saw somebody's coming to YouTube and like, hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Sun. Welcome to my YouTube. I want you to hit, smash that subscribe button and blah, blah. I saw people doing that. And I'm like, oh, I got to do that. I want to be more like that. I want to be more charismatic and more, so I'm going to do that too. But then that shit didn't work for me because that's not me. Do you understand what I mean? And then sometimes I'll see somebody like speaking so eloquently, right? So when I see Vin, right, my friend Vin, he's such a great communicator. He's so eloquent, right? And like, and that's kind of the way he is. Like, I guess he's probably not bad example. He's probably not natural like that. He probably worked on becoming like that. But anyway, when I do see somebody really eloquent and very like, speaking very eloquently, I'm like, oh, I want to be like that person. I should work on that. But the thing is, like, that's just not me either, right? When I see somebody who's like super funny, right? They're like naturally so funny. So when I was, working on my TED Talk, I went to my comedian friend and it's like, hey, comedian friend, can you make this speech funny for me? Can you write some jokes for me so I can? And then he's like, you know what? Like, if I write jokes for you, it's not going to be funny because you're not going to be able to deliver it the right way. Like, and what he told me is like my funniest moments, the moments when I'm the funniest, is when I'm not trying to be funny. It just accidentally becomes funny or something like that, right? So I have to constantly check myself and be like, is that really me? Okay, yes, that person is killing it because like that, but is that really me? Okay, this person is killing it because their personality is like that, but is that really me? And if I realize that that's not me, that's just not who I am, I have to be like, yeah, I love what he does, but that's not me. Okay. I love what Casey Neistat does and how he does the storytelling with the editing, blah, blah, blah. But that's just not me. That's him. So I don't want to try to copy anyone. No matter how much I'm inspired by somebody, how much I love somebody, yeah, I'm gonna let that person be. I'm gonna be inspired from far away, but I'm not gonna try to be that person. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think you get the point. Okay, Emotilia Alexandru. My weakness is I get attached too quick and I get back quickly from the plan I have. Thinking maybe I'm ready or it's not me, I get tired quickly. I go, well, so same thing. I think maybe like it's that you're impulsive. Actually, you know what? Let me tell you a story. So I was watching this video from Y Combinator, right? And Y Combinator is it's a, what do you call those? It's like an incubator where they invest in these startups and they help startups like launch. And what they were saying is, so they invested in like Uber, Airbnb, and all these tech startups, right? And what they were saying is that all these tech startups that succeed have one thing in common. they just jumped into the fucking industry thinking like, oh yeah, I'm all into this. I think I think I can make this work. They're all very passionate about it, and they jump in, and then they go and raise money. They get all this money and boom, boom, boom. They can raise funding, and then boom, right when they start, they realize that holy shit, I actually didn't know shit about this industry. I thought I can fix this. I thought I can do this, but this is a way more complex than I thought. Okay. And then now they have a choice to make, right? Because I can still relate to this because I get impulsive like that. I'm like, oh, I need to start Night Owl Nation. I'm so passionate about fixing this. How I hate how fucking everybody's teaching storytelling. I hate how none of that shit is working. I gotta fix this shit. And then I go in and I'm gonna fix this, and I'm gonna start Night Owl Nation. And then boom, I go in. A few months into it, I'm like, holy shit, this is a lot of fucking work. Holy shit, this is a lot harder than I thought. Holy shit, there's a lot of problem here that I didn't even think of, right? But then because I already started it, because people depend on me, because I didn't get investment, but these companies, because they already got funding from people and they hired employees and shit like that, they can't just quit. And they can't just be like, okay, fuck it. It's not what I thought it was. Next. They can't just move on, right? They're already chained. They're already bought in, and they have to do something. So what they have to do is now they have to start all the way from the bottom and throw away all their preconceived notion, kill their ego, kill their stubbornness, and learn from the bottom up. They have to be humble. They have to learn, okay, this didn't work the way I thought because of this. And they should start from the bottom and build it up and then make it successful. And that's the stage that I'm in right now. Yeah, when I first started Night Owl Nation, it was my passion and my pure fucking impulsiveness and my fucking the fire on my ass is what got me started. If it wasn't for that, I would have never started. I would have just sat on my ass like I see millions of people do this, right? Like they're passionate about something. I'm like, I want to fix this, blah blah blah. But I'll start once I have a business plan, and once I have this, once I get all this worked out, then I'll start. So what happens? They wait a year. They wait 2 years. It never happens. And it's just like the dream just goes away, right? But what I did was I just fucking jumped in and started like, oh, fucking like a dumbass. Like, oh, and when you start, you kind of have to be ignorant like that. You kind of have to be like, from the outside, people looking in, like, oh, I can see this is going to be a failure. Like, yeah, you kind of, exactly, Christina, you have to be overconfident almost to a fault. Like I was so fucking overconfident. Well, like now I look back a year before and I look at myself and I'm like, what a fucking moron, son. Like you didn't know shit. You think you know? You don't know shit, son. That's how I look at myself from the year ago. But the fact that I didn't know shit, the fact that I was ignorant, the fact that I was overconfident is the reason why I started. If I didn't have that, I would have never jumped in and started. But because I just jumped in and started and it got to a certain point, now that I realized, holy shit, I was overconfident. It was just my passion, my raw passion and emotion that was driving me. Now that I realized it, and now I got to figure out how to fix it, right? So yeah, that's why I think the fact that you get too attached quick, too impulsive and too emotional about something is actually a good thing. I feel like people can use a little bit of fucking emotion these days. Everyone these days are just too cool. They're just, oh, I'm too cool. I don't care. I'll just put a business plan together and then I'll just test it out and then I'll start next year. Like, yeah, try that. try that to see how that works. See if you'll ever start. You know how many people have fucking told me, you know how many of my friends have come and told me, like, son, oh, I really want to do coaching. Oh, I really want to start an agency. Oh, I really want to do this. And one day I'll do it. Oh, one day. Like that one day never fucking comes. Like I've never met one of my friends who fucking told me that, oh, I'm going to do this one day. I'm going to do this one day. I'm going to do this one day. Not a single fucking one of them ever actually did anything. That one day never fucking came. So if you're telling yourself that, oh, I'm too emotional, but I'm going to calm down. I'm going to make a business plan. I'm going to do this. And then one day, once I'm ready, once I'm good and ready, I guarantee you that one day is never going to come. You're just going to you're going to the grave without doing that thing. So whatever you want to do it like today. Don't even fucking do it today. Do it right now. After this live, go fucking start that shit right now. Because that's the only way you're actually gonna do it. You know, it's kind of like when people say, "Oh, like, oh, I'll get married once I have X amount of money. Oh, I'll have kids once this happens. Oh, I'll start my business once this happens." Like, no, that's not how the fucking life works, because you'll never be ready. Like, you say, "Oh, one day I'll have." I see a lot of people do this. Oh, maybe one day I'll have when I have more time, I'll do that. When's the last time you actually fucking had time, huh? For those people that are going like, oh, you know, like, I'm gonna, like, even Night Owl Nation, oh, I'm gonna skip this week's assignment because I don't have time. Like, I'll pick it back up. I'll start this class once I have time. Oh, I'll start this. I'll start the coaching when I have time. Oh, I'll start working on this product when. Oh, I'll do a mailing list once I have time. Let me ask you a question for anyone that saying I'll start this once I have time. When's the last time you fucking had time? If you keep telling yourself, I'll do this when I have time, when's the last time you fucking had time? Trust me, you're never gonna fucking have time for the rest of your life. There's never gonna be a week where, oh, now I have some time. That day will never fucking come. So you just gotta do it right now. Whatever you want to do it right fucking now. Don't wait till next week thinking, oh, next week I'll have some time. Next month I'll have no, you're not gonna fucking have time next week. You're not gonna have time next month. Do it right fucking now. You make time. That's what you do. What are you doing all day, right? Do you fucking watch Netflix? Do you fucking go scroll on there? Like, you have time to come on this fucking live, right? You have fucking time to like do all this other shit. Like, make fucking time. I don't know why I got so heated there, because you know why? Because it gets me so, it's so frustrating for me, because for most people to succeed, it's actually so fucking simple. Like, every single one of you guys can be wildly successful, and it's so simple, and it's little things like that. Just make time and do it messy. Just, there's so many things like that you can just do, that I see people not doing, and it frustrates me so much. Okay, next, Mariah Larwood. Weakness: it takes me forever to act on a decision, even when my guy knows it's the right thing. My gut knows it's the right thing. Like, my gut leads, then my heart, then my brain. I don't think that's a weakness. Okay, there's two things that can be going on here. Some people are just very indecisive, right? So if that is a thing, the indecisiveness comes from overthinking, right? So like I said before, if you go back and watch the replay, yeah, it's going to be recorded. If you go back and watch it, I talked about overthinking. Overthinking is actually not a weakness, it's a strength, because I'm an overthinker. It helps me overanalyze. And the reason why I'm able to break down storytelling, reverse engineering, code, and figure out all the possible things that can go wrong, like play the devil's advocate and see all the different angles of something, is because I'm an overthinker. So if that is your weakness, yes, it's also a strength. That can be true. But usually, because you use the word gut, right? So usually, if you're going against something that your gut is telling you, I don't know if you're going against what your gut is telling you, or you're just delaying it. But if you're trying to like go against what the gut is telling you, because the society is telling you something, right? The experts are telling you something. That means that's not your weakness. Your gut, what your gut is telling you, is the real you. That's your real strength and weakness, right? So if you're going against that, then you're going against your strength and weakness. So do not ever go against your gut. And I see so many people doing that. You know, most of my clients are at this place, right, where they had some success, right? Maybe they're doing like a couple $1 million a year, $5 million a year, and they built their business to a certain point, okay? And the reason why they built their business to that point is because they listened to their gut, okay? They did everything their way, their personality, their weakness, their strength, their gut, however they are. is what got them there. Okay, that's what their customers were attracted to, and that's what got them there. But once they hit that mark, right, couple $1 million, $5 million, or whatever, what they end up doing is that's when they start bringing in the experts. Okay, I'm going to bring in the branding expert. I'm going to bring in the funnel expert. I'm going to bring in this expert, marketing expert. I'm going to bring in Facebook. And all these fucking experts starts fucking whispering into their, oh, you should be doing this. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you need to run Facebook ads. Oh, you need to speak more like this. Oh, you got to make shorts. Oh, you got to make this. And they fucking starts getting in their ear. And that's the point where these entrepreneurs who already had success, the reason why they had success is because they listened to their gut and they did it their way. And all of a sudden, they start second guessing themselves. They start doubting themselves, and they're like, "Okay, no, but so and so expert said this. Oh, but so and so said I should start a podcast, and so said this. So I'm gonna listen to him, and I'm gonna listen to the expert." No, that's what I mean by don't listen to those ignore those fuckers, because your gut is what got you there. So you need to double down on that, and don't ever stay away from that thing. And that's the real you. And I guess that's kind of like what we're talking about this whole live, right? Okay, Sunita Bindhani. Weakness: I trust people easily, and I am bad at saying no to people. Okay, so if you're bad at saying no to people, that's easy. Just hire somebody to say no for you, okay? Or set up a process where you don't have to say no, or something like that, right? For example, for me, like if everybody got in touch with me and I have to say, oh no, I gotta go, that shit will never work. So what I had to do was I had to set up a Calendly, and they have to pay first in order to come talk to me, or something like that, right? So that I can't, because otherwise I'm gonna fucking just keep talking to them forever for free. So that's a process that I put together, right? You trust people so easily. Actually, that's actually an amazing personality trait. Don't ever fix that. I am like that. Like, my mom has always told me, son, you're so naive. Like, you trust people too easily. And your people are always taking advantage of you, right? That's what they always say, that I'm always being taken advantage. And that always used to make me mad. Be like, because they make me sound like I'm fucking stupid. Like son, you're not cut out to be a businessman because you're too naive. You trust people too easily. People are gonna step all over you. They take advantage of you, right? That's what my mom used to say. And every time I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a good businessman, right? That's how I used to be. But the truth is, deep down inside, I know I am. I know I trust people too easily. Like, what ends up happening is I can get fucking ripped off 10 times. Somebody can rip me off, like scam me 10 times. And then 11 times I'll let them scam. Like I'll trust that next person that I see. But here's the thing. This is what happens to most people, right? Most people, when they go to a job interview and they get rejected, or they get scammed by somebody, or somebody takes advantage of me, if that repeatedly happens a few times, what ends up happening is they become resentful, and they become like, it's me against the world. I don't trust anyone, right? Like, that's the thing. You go from being this, like, you go from this open, like, giving person where you're like, you're like, innocent until proven guilty. And then you get ripped off a few times, and then their mentality shift to guilty until proven innocent. I don't trust anybody until they prove themselves to me. No, I'm the opposite. I trust everyone until they prove to me that they can't be trusted. Do you understand what I mean? And that's kind of how you have to do. The reason why I fucking come on Instagram, I come on these lives, I go on this podcast, and I'm fucking always giving. And even like with clients, I'm always giving. And then because I'm always giving, people are always around me, and they always like, I get more customers, more clients. They refer me more clients. And the reason why that happens is because I fucking trust everyone. I don't fucking sit there and go, like, I know so many people like that, right? When people walk in the door, they're like, no, I'm not going to put any free content out there. I don't trust anyone. No, I'm not going to give you free consultation. I don't trust you. I don't trust. They put up this whole fucking block, and they don't trust anyone and what happens? When you do that, you become resentful, and everybody's like, oh, okay, that person is like, there's no point talking to that person because he's not going to do anything for me until I pay them, right? So you actually have to be the opposite, and you don't change that. The fact that you're not cynical and that you see the positive in the world is an amazing thing. Okay? So don't start being cynical. Don't change that. Instead, what you do is you are the good cop, so now you need a bad cop. Okay? You need a good cop, bad cop, right? So because if you only have the good cop, then people are gonna, you're right, people are gonna 24/7 take advantage of you. So now you need to just find the bad cop. Or that bad cop can be an AI. It can be a virtual assistant. You can set up a process around you that can play the bad cop. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a business partner. But what I don't want you to do is to become a bad cop. You're a good cop, and that's what's amazing about you. So don't change. Don't become a bad cop, okay? Okay. This is gonna be the last one because it's 12:03. The drawing board. Weakness, I get excited about my client projects and lose objectiveness when I'm going to charge. I always end up charging less than what it's worth, but I'm sure they would pay more for the amount. Yeah, so it's the same thing. Like I'm the same way. So the same thing. Like one time I was working with this client, and then all of a sudden, like we were supposed to charge more, but I didn't. But later on, I realized, like, I saw an invoice and that I got paid, and it was like, that client paid us extra, right? And I was like, like, how did that happen, right? I never asked him for it, but it turns out Gigi invoiced them, right? Or like what like here's another thing, right? I didn't even know that we raised our prices, right? We used to charge 150 hour. Now we charge 250 an hour in our agency. And I didn't even know that we raised our prices. And I'm like, holy shit, one day. And then every client was just paying, okay? But I guess I didn't have the balls, or I didn't have the, for some, like, I wasn't the type of person that can just jump in and raise those prices, but Gigi was. So this is why I'm constantly talking about no man is an island. If you think that you're gonna fucking conquer the world by yourself, I don't trust anyone. I gotta do everything by myself. I'm a solopreneur. I can do everything by myself. That's not how the world works. Okay? If you're the good cop, if you can find a good bad cop, right? If you're an overthinker, if you can find somebody who can suppress limit your overthinking, right? If you're a super introvert, you can find an extrovert. If you're like really, really analytical and you're not outgoing, if you can find somebody who's outgoing, if you can find that person who can complement you because they have the opposite personality of you, the two of you together is going to exponentially grow. Like 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 and 1 equals 10. Okay? So do not think that you can do this all by yourself. And here's another tip. In the beginning, when I started working with Gigi, I was like, no, Gigi, you got to do it. What I used to do is, even though she's the one that compliments me, I used to argue with her. And I would tell her, no, we got to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. And I wouldn't let her. So I didn't let her, even though that's our superpower, her superpower is being the opposite of me. I wasn't allowing her to let her do her job. I didn't let her do a job. I didn't let her raise prices. I didn't let her send those invoices, and I didn't let her do those things. So the thing is, if you really are going to find somebody to compliment you, you got to let them do their thing. Because there's no point of bringing in that person that's the opposite of you. If you're not even going to let them do their thing, then that's pointless, right? You might as well just do it yourself. So number one, you have to find the person that compliment you. And number two, you gotta let them do their thing. Yes, there might be some friction here and there. Yes, you might disagree on certain things, but at the end of the day, you need to respect each other. Like me and Gigi, in the beginning, we got into so many fucking arguments. In the first 3 years of our business, we almost got divorced several times. We got into some heated fucking arguments. And it was like, it's a miracle that our marriage survived. But then when we started getting really close together, when we started really bonding, is when we started to really respect each other. Like, actually, it was more me, right? I had to really respect what she does, respect her, like what she's doing is important, and how important it is to the business. So that, yeah, there might be some friction here and there, but at the end of the day, I have to let her do the thing because that's what she's good at, right? And I had to realize that in order for this to work. So that's where I'm going to leave it today. Thank you, everyone, for staying for so long today. By the way, if you haven't joined Night Owl Nation yet, this week, this Saturday is the last day to join. So make sure you join now, because all the storytelling, even this weakness strength is a exercise that we're doing in Night Owl Nation, and all the members are doing it. They're coming up with their weakness and strength. I'm helping them go through it. We have group leaders that are helping them go through it. So it's an amazing, unbelievable community. So definitely you're missing out if you're not in our community. So thank you all. I'll see you next week. And cheers. Bye. Love you all. Bye.